Hello and good evening on this first day of December. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. Here's to hoping you had an incredible weekend. Now, here are the stories making the headlines on Newsplus tonight. President Mnangagwa today invested Defense Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu with his new rank, charging him to embrace innovation, technology, and modern strategic thinking in responding to emerging security threats. That story right here on Newsplus. We'll also give you the story of the World Intellectual Property Organization director who has paid a courtesy call on President Mnangagwa with discussions centered on strengthening Zimbabwe's intellectual property systems. Zimbabwe today joined the rest of the world in commemorating World AIDS Day, with authorities assuring people living with HIV of enough stock. Stay tuned for more details. And in our look at sport, former Warriors captain Benjamin Warwari is tipped to take over as Highlanders coach ahead of the next season. Our top story this evening, President Mnangagwa today conferred Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu with his new rank at a ceremony that was held at State House. President Mnangagwa charged the new ZDF commander with the mandate of maintaining peace and security at home and beyond. More in the following report.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa presided over the investiture of the newly appointed Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander, General Emmanuel Matatu at State House. This follows his recent appointment, taking over from General Philip Valerio Sibanda. A moment of transition at State House as President Mnangagwa officially conferred in senior of office to the new ZDF commander, General Emmanuel Matatu. Addressing service chiefs and senior government officials, the president underscored the indispensable role of the defense forces in preserving peace and stability in Zimbabwe.
The duty before you is to accelerate the transformation of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces into a world-class force that is a source of security, source of peace and stability, not only for our country, but for the SADC region and the African continent and beyond.
The Commander-in-Chief charged General Matatu to embrace innovation, technology, and modern strategic thinking in responding to emerging security threats.
I expect you to drive the necessary training, new initiatives and innovations to ensure that the ZDF meets the evolving needs of the times.
General Matatu pledged to uphold the ZDF's long-standing reputation for discipline, professionalism, and service to the nation.
There are so many challenges that we are facing, and there are so many developments in the military. We basically have to catch up to assure the people of Zimbabwe their security, their peace and security. The nature of warfare is changing. Technology is playing a bigger role in the battlefield nowadays, and we need to embrace that, and we need to catch up.
He echoed the president's sentiments, noting that today's security landscape demands agility, technological readiness, and a proactive approach to safeguarding national interests in a rapidly digitalizing world. General Matatu becomes the country's top military officer at a time when the region is confronting evolving geopolitical and technological challenges, and today's ceremony marked the beginning of what government says will be a new chapter of modernized defense capability. Iben Mabunda for ZTN Prime at the State House.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe Defense Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu went on to officially confer Lieutenant General Asha Walter Tapfumane with his new rank as Commander of the Zimbabwe National Army at a ceremony that was held at the Zimbabwe Defense House. Lieutenant General Tapfumane assumed command of the Zimbabwe National Army on the 21st of November, following General Matatu's elevation. Now, speaking on the sidelines of the event, Lieutenant General Tafumane reaffirmed his commitment to upholding the Constitution, safeguarding national sovereignty, and maintaining the professional standards that have been set by past Zimbabwe commanders.
Ndotsidza vana vezimbabwe umhuri yezimbabwe kuti handitarisire pasi chidanho chandapuwa ichi. Ibasa guru rekuchengeta nyika ino kubva vavengi vanobva kunze nemuno munyika zvese. Saka ndakazvipira nemauto andinotungamirira kudzivirira nyika ino nekuchengetedza runyararo rweZimbabwe. Nekuti kana nyika isina runyararo, kana upfumi hwenyika hausumuki, kana kurara kudzimba hatirare zvakanaka. Tinozviona pama-TV, tinoona vanhu vakunochera mvura muna mukuisi nenguva shoma shoma nezvinhu zvisina nebasa rese. Saka toda kuti runyararo irworwo rwatinarwo muno muZimbabwe rurambe rurimo, ende ndo basa rangu iroro nevamwe vangu.
Now, presiding over the ceremony, Zimbabwe Defence Forces Commander General Emmanuel Matatu described Lieutenant General Tafumane's promotion as a reflection of his hard work, dedication, and unwavering commitment to the nation's defense and security. He added that the Zimbabwe Defence Forces continues to prioritize professionalism, merit, and service excellence in its leadership appointments.
We mark the promotion of Lieutenant General Walter Tafumane and his appointment as Commander Zimbabwe National Army. Your promotion, General, is testament to your dedication and hard work, unwavering commitment to our nation's defense and security, and I'm greatly honored to confer upon you this prestigious rank of Lieutenant General, recognizing your leadership and strategic vision. The President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defence Forces, I would like to express my gratitude to him for promoting you to this rank and appointing you to command the Zimbabwe National Army. Your promotion is a celebration of years of service to the nation, your sacrifices, and your unrelenting pursuit of excellence.
Now, in other news, the Director General of the World Intellectual Property Organization, Mr. Darren Tang, is in Zimbabwe on a 3-day working visit, becoming the organization's first chief to visit the country. He paid a courtesy call on President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House today, where discussions centered on strengthening Zimbabwe's intellectual property systems and supporting the growth of innovation, entrepreneurship, and the creative economy. Ibn Mabunda was at State House.
Now, President Emmerson Mnangagwa received the Director General of the World Intellectual Property Organization, Mr. Darren Tang, at the State House, where it is that they discussed how to cement the quality of innovation in Zimbabwe's business fraternity, as well as enhance the protection of intellectual property in the country's business fraternity. His 3-day working visit marks a historic first, as he becomes the first WIPO Director General to set foot in Zimbabwe, signaling strengthened cooperation at a time when the nation is accelerating its innovation and creative economy agenda.
A country is built on its people, and I think the people of Zimbabwe are beginning to harness their innovation, entrepreneurial and creative potential. And I think intellectual property will become very important to this country's development.
In his briefing, Mr. Tang outlined 5 priority areas guiding his mission, chief among them support for Zimbabwe's innovation hubs and the efforts to fully commercialize research outputs. He also underscored the importance of nurturing the creative sector as a key pillar of economic growth.
We also want to make sure that we support the amazing natural agricultural resources of the country. We're looking at protection for getting protection for Chipinge coffee, Arabica coffee. We even talk about how we can support the Shona stone sculpture, which is such an important part of your traditional culture as well. And we also look at how we can support the small medium enterprises. Tomorrow,
WIPO also pledged to assist government in crafting a new national intellectual property strategy which will guide the protection, management and commercialization of local innovations. Later this week, Mr. Tang will officiate at the graduation of 50 entrepreneurs who completed a year-long WIPO mentorship program, an initiative designed to help innovators turn ideas into viable commercial ventures. The Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs welcomed the collaboration, saying the country stands firm to benefit substantially from modern, globally aligned IP systems.
We want to work closely with WIPO to unlock value in terms of intellectual property. As mentioned, the Chipinge coffee, the Shona sculpture, even the creative industry. How can this be supported and developed and patented so that their works are protected?
As a specialized United Nations agency, WIPO supports creators and innovators across the world by ensuring ideas move safely into markets while promoting harmonized IP protection between countries.
The protection of intellectual property takes center stage in the development of the Zimbabwean as well as the regional digital economy. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I'm Eben Mabunda, State House.
Now, today, Zimbabwe joins the world in commemorating World AIDS Day, which presents an opportunity to honor the lives lost to AIDS, celebrate the progress made, and reaffirm the country's commitment to ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. Now, in his World AIDS Day message, President Emmerson Mnangagwa highlighted strong national progress and the work that still lies ahead.
We commemorate this day with immense pride. Not only did Zimbabwe reach the global 95-95 targets and achieved epidemic control in 2022, but now has surpassed the targets. Today, 97% of people living with HIV know their status. Over 95% are on life-saving antiretroviral therapy, and 96% of those on treatment are virally suppressed. The achievements reflect the dedication of our focused leadership as the Second Republic, communities and health workers. These gains assure us that Zimbabwe is firmly on the path towards ending AIDS. Yet, challenges remain.
Now, later on, we'll give you a story on the World AIDS Day commemorations that were taking place in Matabeleland, South Province. Stay with us.
Festive is here, Shah. First Street lights up, and suddenly the vibe is back. It stretches from Harare to Hollywood, even to Old Trafford. Jesse Gilles Festive. All I want this festive season? The stories that keep us hooked. The ngoma, the rhythm, the laughter, the drama, the goals, the world-class entertainment that brightens up the holidays for the whole family. All I want is DSTV.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, Vice President Dr. Constantino Chiwenga says the country is committed to correctional reform through the evolution of modern correctional policy and a future restorative justice system that upholds human dignity and strengthens community safety and actively supports offender rehabilitation. He was speaking at the inaugural African Parole System Conference, which kicked off in Harare today. More details in the following report.
Officiating at the inaugural African Parole System Conference in Harare this Monday, Vice President Dr. Constantino Chiwenga says the initiative aligns with Zimbabwe's national transformation agenda. He said the system prioritizes human dignity, rehabilitation, and reintegration. VP Chiwenga also said it captures Africa's collective efforts to advance systems that are data-driven and anchored in global best practices.
In line of these foundational principles, the Republic of Zimbabwe stands at a critical turning point in its national correctional reform journey. We therefore remain steadfastly committed to the establishment of correctional institutions that are modern, humane, technologically driven, and development oriented. As we aspire to attain an upper middle income status, we are compelled to advance systems that uphold human dignity, strengthen community safety, and actively support offender rehabilitation, all of which serve the paramount overriding interest of sustainable national development.
Running under the theme Advancing Restorative Justice, Strengthening Parole System for Safer and Rehabilitated Societies, an African Perspective with Global Collaboration, the conference will last for 4 days. More than 20 countries are expected to grace the event, which marks a milestone in rehabilitation and correctional services. The new framework establishes a structured, transparent, and progressive parole system administered by a state parole board that prioritizes evidence-based rehabilitation and enhanced public safety.
Zimbabwe has introduced a new parole system, marking a shift from punitive incarceration to restorative justice. The system aims to decongest correctional facilities, support rehabilitation, and maintain public safety. Countries like Rwanda, Namibia, Zambia, and South Africa have shared best practices in forming Zimbabwe's approach.
Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service Commissioner General Moses Chiwovu commended the countries for embracing the parole discussion as it is a testament to transformation in the justice system. He also said there is a need for embracing the modern technologies.
We are also delighted by the participation of all invited guests, we government officials, policymakers, development partners, and international correctional experts. Your presence demonstrates a shared commitment to advance progress, correctional models, and enrich the knowledge base upon which we seek to build a robust parole system.
As the landmark occasion brings together leaders and policymakers from across the continent, the hope is to shape a transformative agenda for correctional reforms in Africa and beyond. Latwo Nyangu for Sit Prime in Harare.
Now, policymakers say the 2026 national budget shows a positive step for the education sector, with increased allocations aimed at improving access and learning quality. While they have welcomed the rise, they caution that more needs to be done to meet international standards, particularly in strengthening investment in early childhood education, being the foundation of Zimbabwe's future human capital development. Our reporter Melissa Chatkobo gives us the details.
Last year, The entire education sector, including tertiary, received about 18% of the national budget, with only 2.5% directed towards early childhood education. For 2026, the government increased allocations, setting aside 47.3 billion ZiG for primary and secondary education and 10.3 billion ZiG for higher and tertiary institutions. Both figures fall short of international standards, which require countries to dedicate 20% of their national budget to education and at least 10% of the education budget to early childhood learning. While members of parliament welcomed the upward adjustment, they called for more targeted investment in early learning and timely disbursement of funds to ensure impact on the ground.
What we would like to see is significant allocation of resources to pre-primary education, which is ECD, early childhood development, because it is a critical aspect of our human capital development. Research has proven that the investment in children, especially in their education, is more critical when the brain is at age number 3.
With Zimbabwe targeting an upper middle income economy by 2030, stakeholders believe a strong early education system is central to achieving that goal.
If we are to invest, we really need to look at early childhood development, because that's the area that we normally have to feed on. Because we always say if we invest more in early childhood development, we'll have more retention in future. And it is very sad that at the moment we are trying to mend.
The meeting brought together representatives from the education sector, Parliament's Education Committee and development partners, who discussed how the funds can be efficiently channeled towards improving access, teacher welfare and classroom infrastructure.
As a challenge, really, is to do with foundational learning. And I'm sure this is the basis of, impacting knowledge, particularly to the little ones, because it marks their basis. So in as far as we are concerned, I think we have got a gap. We have got a gap that needs, a reallocation.
As government and education partners debate the 2026 budget, focus remains on how early education investments can strengthen the country's future workforce and support long-term growth. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Melissa Chetkubo.
Now, in other news, residents in Siyakovo under Nyaminyami Rural District, Zimbabwe's Mashonaland West Province, have welcomed the construction of a large government complex, which is now about 90% complete and will soon accommodate all district government departments.
The new facility will enable villagers to access services more quickly and conveniently. To prepare for the sizable relocation of workers, the council is also allocated over 300 residential stands, which will also have their road network tarred. The roads were funded through the Zimbabwe National Roads Authority Emergency Road Rehabilitation Program 2. Residents say the development at the growth point has brought relief, as they will not need to travel over 200 kilometers to Karoi.
Like now, the problems are SSB, so that's to panic development. Something panic farm out.
So far, kana zvanguva padhuze panapa kana ungasinga traffic ndovela kuenda kutauno mutora zvinga maposta akawanda saka yakuno no improve mashops edu ndiyangazvese kutenga zvinhu magovernment ese magovernment offices anenge akuno
Following the development, government offices will now be located near most homes. Nyaminyami Rural District Council Acting CEO Peter Shnodakufa said they are expecting more government offices to be situated at Siyakovo.
We are expecting my government departments as we are aware are kukariba ku urban. Saka tinotarisira kuti anga achiuya pano pa Siyakovo kuti tizobatsirana kuita basa rehurumende tiri pano tinge tichisimudza nzvimbo yedu yekunyaminyami yamunoona kuti iri ku periphery zvakanyanya. saka ndofunga tikauyawo panapa vachauyawo panapa vanenge vachizofarirawo kufamba sekuona kwamuri kuita chishuwiro chedu kuti pachazouyawo tara redu rakuita department Ministry of Transport tine shuwa yekuti vachazenge vaconnectawo tara vanofanira kunge vachiona tava pamberi panyaya yedevelopment uye chishuwiro chedu zvakare kuti semuono wababa vamunangagwa kuti tisvike pavision 2030 vanhu vese tofanira kuti tichifambawo tiri mutara yese kuona kwamuri kuita.
Councillor Faustino Mawadze hailed the development, saying plans are underway to rehabilitate additional kilometers of road network next year.
And we are also saying kana this government complex ikakwanisa kupera chinhu chava nemakore chichingodhonza nguva chisiri kupera, saka toti ikapera government complex iyoyi muchaona kuti vashandi vedu vakawanda vegovernment, especially maheads emadepartments akawanda, vana agritex, vana social welfare, vanani vese vanhu vava vari kugara kukaribha kuurban, vana DDC ndo kwavari, saka vanhu vavo kuti vauye kubva kukaribha vachizoshandira kuno distance yacho haishandike nayo, saka tiri kuti government complex ikapera tiri kuona isusu siyakobvo ichiita nzvimbo yakasumukira zviri nani because vanhu vanenge vakuwana maservices ese padhuze.
Located 415 kilometers west of Harare, access to Siakov growth point has always been difficult with a dirt road, and this has been seen as a positive development by residents.
Now, as we indicated earlier, we have another story on the World AIDS Day commemorations, with government having assured people living with HIV that the country has enough medication to last for at least 10 months at a given time, allaying fears of antiretroviral treatment shortages. Now, speaking during the World AIDS Day commemorations today, Health and Childcare Minister Dr. Douglas Mumbeshwara said government is committed to ensuring the sustainability of all HIV services. The country has also intensified its fight against cervical cancer and today launched a single-dose human papilloma vaccine, which will now be integrated into routine immunization. We give you more in this report.
Hundreds of people joined the World AIDS Day commemorations held at Umzingwane High School in Matabeleland South today, held under the theme Overcoming Disruptions, Transforming the AIDS Response. The commemorations are a constant reminder of the need to raise awareness on HIV, fighting stigma, honoring those who died from HIV, and honoring those who are living positive with HIV.
Thokozile Mpala is a testament to Zimbabwe's HIV success story. Having been born with HIV, which was passed on to her through vertical transmission, the 22-year-old has defied all the odds.
Growing up with HIV has been a journey of surprises, challenges, and above all, resilience. 22 years of my journey living with HIV, it's been a journey of resilience, not limitation. From learning to take my meds to advocating for awareness.
Your journey has not been without challenges, with stigma being one of the barriers in ending AIDS. Not only does stigma drive silence, it also delays access to care. Thokozile is however grateful to the support system that has kept her going.
I'm grateful for the love, medicine, community that keep me thriving.
The United Nations noted Thokozile's testament was evidence to the remarkable strides Zimbabwe has made over the years and emphasized on ensuring funding is sustained to maintain such gains.
Ending AIDS means more than medicines and clinics. It means safeguarding human rights, tackling the social drivers of vulnerability such as drug and substance abuse, gender-based violence, poverty, and lack of access to quality education. We must expand advocacy and outreach so that key populations can access stigma-free, targeted services.
In the face of emerging challenges that are threatening to reverse gains, the government, with support from development partners, are employing various strategies. The introduction of the human papilloma vaccine into routine immunization is one such strategy to reduce cases of cervical cancer.
Through these collaborations, the HPV vaccine at age 10 is now more accessible, integrated into routine immunization, and supported with community mobilization. Women living with HIV are 6 times more likely to develop cervical cancer, so protecting our girls today protects tomorrow's mothers. leaders, and innovators.
The Health and Child Care Minister, Dr. Douglas Mombeshwara, believes that the path to ending AIDS required integrated people-centered services. Hence, health systems must respond simultaneously to non-communicable diseases.
The country's response has evolved over the years, from the days where people living with HIV were dying from the disease to an era where people living with HIV are now living productive lives. While women in Zimbabwe continue to bear the brunt of HIV, the country, through the Ministry of Health and Development Partners, continues to employ various biomedical and behavioral change strategies to fight and reduce the HIV prevalence.
Now for the weather update, we are joined live by James Ngoma, the Chief Forecaster at the Met Services Department. James, it's a very good evening to you and thank you so much for joining us. Now, as we start not only the new month, but also the new week, what is the weather looking like for the days ahead?
Thank you very much, Faith, for that question, and good evening, viewers. Looking at the forecast for this week, we're expecting considerable falls on Wednesday. This is because of moisture that is coming in from Botswana into Matabeleland north and south and spreading across much of the country. Because the system has got a lot of moisture, we're expecting about 50 millimeters of rainfall and above in a number of places, and this has a potential of causing flash flooding. Coupled with that, we're expecting a bit of sunshine tomorrow. So this should increase the heat units across much of the country, giving us more of the thunderstorms as we get into the later parts of Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday. And with that, we expect a bit of hailstorms in places, and this might cause a bit of destruction as well.
James, you just mentioned hailstorms. Is there any risk of flooding, and what would be your advice to the public?
Thank you very much. Looking at the issue of flooding, the soil is very moist at this point in time with the rains that have been incessant for much of November into the early parts of December, where we had considerable falls in places such as Rushinga, which recorded 50 millimeters, and other places of note. And we still expect more heavier storms as of Wednesday, and this has a potential of causing flooding. And even if the rainfall has not occurred in your particular area, it could have occurred upstream. So we still advise the public not to cross any flooded rivers. It might seem like the water flow is very slow, but when you reach the middle, that water flow, as long as it's a depth of 15 centimeters and above, it is enough to carry off even the heaviest of vehicles. It might be your trucks, it might be a bus, even the small vehicles as well. So we still urge the public, whether on foot or in a vehicle, not to cross any flooded rivers. And with that, we have also the threat of hailstorms. So we still advise the public that whenever you hear of a thunderstorm ensuing, make sure you are indoors and in a safe space. And there's also the issue of lightning, so we still advise the public to be always indoors when they see lightning or even hear thunder in a distance.
Well, James, the weatherman, giving us an update on the weather as we head into the new month and the new week. James, thank you so much for those updates. You are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Might prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful.
Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now we take a quick look at news from beyond our borders. And in South Africa, the President Cyril Ramaphosa has criticized the United States for its absence from the G20 summit on Sunday, calling for constructive dialogue amid escalating tensions over President Donald Trump's claims of white genocide in South Africa. President Ramaphosa also responded to Trump's plans to exclude South Africa from the 2026 summit in Miami, emphasizing the country's position as a founding member of the forum. Now, Ramaphosa also said the United States allegations have been fueled by a sustained campaign of disinformation by groups and individuals within South Africa aimed at undermining the country's national interests.
These people who are spreading disinformation are endangering and undermining South Africa's national interests, destroying South African jobs, and weakening our country's relations with one of our most important partners. We must remind these people that South Africa is a constitutional democracy with a Bill of Rights that guarantees equality under the law. We have an independent judiciary able to uphold our constitution and defend the rights of all South Africans. We are a country that has a tradition of dialogue, that has an enduring ability to come together to confront the challenges that we face. South African problems must be solved by South Africans themselves.
Now, African leaders meeting in Algiers on Sunday called for colonial-era crimes to be formally recognized, criminalized, and compensated for through an African Union-backed reparations process. The AU resolution was passed at a summit in May, which pushed to define colonization as a crime against humanity. Now, current international law does not explicitly outlaw the practice. The massive economic damage done by colonization in Africa was also highlighted as European powers plundered the continent's natural resources such as gold, diamonds, and rubber, leaving communities impoverished. The economic cost of colonialism in Africa is believed to be staggering, with some estimates putting the cost of plunder in the trillions. In Mali, fuel availability has significantly improved, offering much-needed relief to commuters and restoring road traffic after weeks of severe disruption. Motorcycle taxi drivers, among the worst affected by the fuel shortages, have now resumed full operations. In late November, a donation of more than 80 fuel tankers from Niger reached Bamako in an effort to alleviate Mali's fuel shortage, while advancing efforts of self-reliance and regional solidarity. Now, the Malian army provided escorts for the tankers following militant attacks.
Jana kalbango sanama ano jana anwala angoni jana rantika joyele bliere anga foli ka se famamo jana fuka jeulante nyinawo ay ko kan an yɛrɛ sɔnna mun mɔ quoi jaba don quoi bamakɔ non an sɔnnen don a ye quoi a se mun kɔni an sɔnnen don a ye kabɛn ko kɔni a banna bi a banna sini sanji bɛ ka sɔrɔ nɔgɔya la an bɛ k'an ka baara kɛ nɔgɔya fɛnɛ na tiɲɛna an bɛ fama fo an b'a fo bi an b'a fo sini cɛba ye don walayi an b'a fo tiɲɛ yɛrɛ la a bɛ ka mun kɛ non ni ɲɛna yɛrɛ kuma bɛɛ kɔnfa dɔ bɛ ka don dɔ langolo bɛ ka bɔ fale bɛ ka don langolo bɛ ka bɔ.
In Sri Lanka, torrential rains from Cyclone Ditwa have submerged entire communities, forcing local authorities to declare a nationwide state of emergency after the storm left at least 334 people dead. The state of emergency was declared on Saturday as rising waters from the Kelani River forced evacuation orders that remain in effect across several districts. Now, the country is in its monsoon season, but officials say extreme weather of this scale is rare. The Disaster Management Center said some 20,000 homes have been destroyed, forcing 108,000 people into state-run shelters. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall unleashed widespread flooding and landslides across Asia, killing more than 1,000 people, with hundreds more still considered missing. Millions of people are dealing with intense flooding after cyclone-fueled downpours battered parts of Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia. Across Asia, the severe weather has so far claimed the lives of at least 604 people in Indonesia, 334 people in Sri Lanka, 176 in Thailand, and 2 in Malaysia, this according to some officials, taking the total to 1,135. Now we take a look at what's happening on the business front.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is the competition. Everything.
So here they come for the opening game, and away we are here at the African Cup of Nations.
Join our family meeting from the 21st of December to the 18th of January. Purchase a decoder for $30. AFCON 2025, live on SuperSport.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako iyo afro chakuti ndo music manje no yemuZimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so Shona kana kuti Chindevere kana mumwe mutauri muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
In our look at business news tonight, the Zimbabwe Dorper Sheep Breeders Association has revived the Dorper sale in Matabeleland after a 13-year absence. The Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development has welcomed the development, saying it marks a positive shift in efforts to rebuild the country's small livestock sector.
After more than a decade, the Dorper Sheep auction returned to Bulawayo, bringing renewed hope to the small livestock industry. Known for its resilience, fast growth and premium meat quality, the Dorper is highly sought after, and that demand was evident at the ZITF showgrounds last Friday. Younger sheep, some as little as 8 to 11 months old, fetched between 400 and 480 United States dollars, while top rams sold for up to 1,800 United States dollars, a rare trend in the livestock sector and a strong sign of industry potential. Methlina Makwenzi, Chief Director for ADAS, said the return of the auction could boost the country's sheep industry in the region. Makwenzi said sheep production offers a cost-effective avenue for farmers because the animal can utilize grazing that cattle leave behind. She added that Dopa breeding should now be strengthened for both domestic growth and export markets.
To improve their breeds with these Dopas and make sure that, because Dopas are fleshy, Dopas are made for mutton meat. When we used to export, this was the breed that was used. So we're saying since it has come back, we want to take this breed across the country, down all levels, without disaggregation. We want that small communal farmer to gain this money. I looked at them as they were auctioning, and this auction inspires. It actually inspired a lot of people there.
For breeders, the return of the sale is more than an auction. It is the beginning of a long-term vision to expand Dopa production in Matabeleland and position Zimbabwe as a key supplier of live sheep and genetics to regional markets.
So I think we need to as a country protect our genetics, protect our farmers. We need to stop animals coming across the border illegally. I think that's a big thing because, guys, that can hurt your business, it can kill your business.
The association says the goal is to make the Bulawayo Dopa sale an annual fixture and build a more competitive national flock that benefits breeders across the country.
So we need to grow our stud breeding base. We need it to be an inclusive group of farmers. I think, the days where only certain people we can't afford to do that anymore. We've actually got to stand together now, because right now Zimbabwe is in the best position that if we get everything right, within the next 3-4 years, we can actually own a big chunk of what goes up north, and we need to look at that.
With renewed interest, strong prices and a growing push for export-oriented genetics, the Dopa industry appears geared for a significant comeback in Matabeleland and beyond. For ZTN Prime, I'm Andile Chuma in Bulawayo.
Now, Zimbabwe is stepping up efforts to expand its presence in India, targeting stronger visibility and export growth. Zimtrade will host a hybrid interactive business seminar on the 4th of December 2025 to guide local firms on entering Indian supply chains. Key focus sectors include food and agriculture, sugar, tea, coffee, fruits and nuts, as well as natural oils like baobab, marula, and mongongo for cosmetics and wellness. Pharmaceuticals and medical equipment are also being explored for joint ventures and local production. Now, India's market of 1.4 billion people presents huge potential. Zimbabwe currently accounts for less than 0.1% of imports, exporting 46 million United States dollars in 2024, while importing 189 million US dollars, highlighting significant room for growth. South Africa's Standard Bank has become the first African bank to connect directly to China's cross-border interbank payment system, allowing African businesses to pay Chinese suppliers in yuan instead of using the US dollar. The move lowers transaction costs, reduces settlement delays, and shields importers from dollar exchange rate volatility. The system is now live across Standard Bank's network, strengthening Africa-China's financial ties as trade between the region expands. The integration comes as African markets increasingly shift toward alternative currencies aligned with BRICS' ambitions to reduce reliance on the US-denominated financial system. And now a quick look at what's happening on the entertainment front.
In a world where music transcends boundaries, where rhythm and melody unite the hearts of people, comes a show that celebrates the power of music like never before. Get ready to dive into a sonic journey that will leave you mesmerized and yearning for more. Welcome to the captivating world of Z Vibes. Vibe to it, baby.
Now, in entertainment, South African gospel powerhouse Spirit of Praise is making an impact in Zimbabwe after hosting an electrifying show in Bulawayo on Sunday. Now, the show, which was oversubscribed, took on a spiritual atmosphere as attendees began to worship through song. The talented troupe performed song after song, captivating the audience with their powerful voices. The group, which accommodates singers in the region, also houses award-winning singer Minister Everton Mlalazi and South African-based Kenneth Nyati. Now, local artist Minister Mlalazi said the gospel powerhouse is making a difference and transforming lives in Zimbabwe and the region.
We had a wonderful time. The artists on stage. I mean, South Africans were like Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans were like South Africans. It was one united front worshiping God. We had an amazing time, and I want to tell you that Spirit of Praise is really finding home in Zimbabwe. It is finding home in Bulawayo. Our people here had an amazing time. I want to recall that for me and Ken and Nyati, who hail from here in Bulawayo, we were also taken by surprise by the number of people who were up on their feet from song one to the last song.
Music superstar Joe Praiser has delivered a sold-out homecoming concert at the Harare International Conference Center over the weekend. The performance marked his return from the Ndini Mukuze World Tour, one of the most extensive international projects of his career so far, which saw him perform in major cities across Africa, Europe, and North America. Now, the HICC show, billed as the grand finale, drew thousands and earned the musician 5-star reviews from fans who would describe the set as both dazzling and spirit-lifting. In case you missed it, here's a snippet of the show. And the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe says it is pleased with the overwhelming response to the 24th National Arts Merit Awards NAMA entries, which closed today, and more than 1,170 submissions have already been received from creatives across the country. The award ceremony ran under the theme Fearless Creativity. Next year's ceremony will be held on the 28th of February at the HICC. Organizers are saying that this year's submissions list is one of the strongest in the awards history. And now for some sporting action. Now, days after Highlanders opted against renewing the contract of head coach Peter de Jong at the end of the year, former Warriors striker Benjamin Ngwarwari is being tipped to take over the reins at the Bulawayo Giants. After being relieved of his duties in Gezi Platinum Stars back in July of 2022, following a string of poor results that saw him getting 3 wins in 13 games, Ngwarwari is likely to get a new lease of life should he be chosen to replace Peter de Jong. Meanwhile, Boso benefactor Wicknell Juvayo has volunteered to cater for Ngwarwaru's welfare should the club's executive appoint him as their next head coach. Juvayo says he is willing to pay all his salaries as well as guarantee and safeguard all his contractual interests. In a bid to decongest Rufaro Stadium as well as decentralize domestic top flight, Cape United are negotiating for a 25-year lease from the City Fathers for Gwanzura Stadium. Cape United President Farai Jere confirmed that the club is set to receive a lengthy lease to use Gwanzura as their new home ground.
Last week, the full council resolved that Banjula Stadium be listed to Cape United. It's just a process of paperwork, and we are waiting to then sign a contract with them, which is actually being prepared. The paperwork is being prepared for us to then sign. We want Banjula to be the home of Cape United, and our lease agreement is going to be, in the agreement which we have, it's going to be for 25 years. 25 years. Yeah, 25 years. So Banjula is a done deal. It's a done deal. Banjula Stadium is a done deal. That's where we are taking Cape United. I hope we are all seeing where we want to go. That's where we want to go with this big brand.
Jere added that the side is in the process of securing a piece of land in Chitungwiza on which to build their own stadium, as well as taking the game to all corners of the country.
We are on the verge of securing 8 hectares of land from Chitungwiza, where we are going to put our stadium as a club. So you will see a lot of things happening. We need to decentralize things, or everything cannot be a rally. So our plan and dream is to make sure that Cape United becomes a Chitungwiza team. They will be having their best there. And just like what is happening in other leagues, especially South Africa. If you want to play our home game at Banjula, we come to Banjula. If you want to play our home game in Chitungwiza, we will be going to Chitungwiza. And that one, I want you to take note of this. We are taking it seriously. There are lots of tests which are being done on the soil. On the 8 hectares of land which we have agreed to be sold to us as a Cape United property. Then we put our stadium. So that's our dream. So that people of Chitungwiza will have the pride to say, no, Cape United is now our team here.
Now, the Zimbabwe senior women's netball team is expected back into the country this Tuesday afternoon, following the conclusion of the Celtic Cup in Scotland. The Gems finished third for the second consecutive time, as they could only manage 2 wins and 3 defeats in the 5 games that they played during that tournament that featured Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, Uganda and Namibia. The side now shifts their attention to the African Netball Cup, which gets underway from the 8th to the 14th of December in Lilongwe, Malawi. The team's participation in stronger leagues like the Telkom Netball League in South Africa and friendlies against Kenya in August and Malawi in October could actually prove advantageous to the Gems during the competition that will see 10 men's and women's sides taking part, reduced from the 11, this following the withdrawal of Zambia due to financial constraints. Coaches have welcomed the just-ended Bulawayo Amateur Swimming Association Senior Championship Gala that was held at the Bulawayo City Pool, with over 191 swimmers taking part. Botswana Invitational coach Johannes Mate welcomed the initiative, as it symbolizes the spirit of togetherness between Zimbabwe and its neighbors, as well as revives the athletes' interest in the sport.
The initiative is to try bring Botswana and Zimbabwe together to improve swimming for all the athletes going forward. I mean, if you look at the facilities Zimbabwe has and the background that they have in sports and what we have in Botswana, it will encourage and help the athletes get involved in more swimming going forward. I mean, if we look at intercontinental series that are happening in different sporting codes, like a cricket, your soccers, your hockeys, if that's happening, we can also do it in swimming, so that we can now have inter-regional competitions to hold ourselves accountable as neighboring countries going forward.
The Bulawayo Amateur Swimming Championships saw 4 Botswana invitational teams going up against 7 local clubs at the championships, which also gave coaches a chance to assess their athletes, and Mate expressed the need to give every talent a chance so that the region, as well as the 2 countries, can compete at the top.
We have to have inter-regional competitions to help us encourage, because we've got so much talent, especially in the SADC region. You see what's happening with Botswana with the athletics. We've got athletes in Zimbabwe that are not being seen because they're not being put in competitions. So
That's all we had for you on Newsplus this Monday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.